to the Token and Hobbs Show on the Roads to Liberty Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Token and Hobbs Show here on the Think Liberty Network. We're so glad that you guys have decided to join us live on a Tuesday night. Welcome, one and all. Thank you for being here with us. I'm your host, Token, joined partner in crime, Mr. Congressman Dustin Hobbs. What is up?
Not much, my friend. Another day in paradise.
How long do you think that we can keep this Congressman Hobbs stick going?
As long as it takes.
As long as until you are sitting in who is holding your office right now?
Adrian Smith.
That piece of shit. He stole your seat. And he is sitting in your office right now, farting in your chair, typing on your computer, eating the snacks out of your mini fridge.
Right.
Groping your interns.
Those interns.
No, that's probably not right. I shouldn't accuse him of being like Andrew Cuomo. There is no evidence that he is a creepy groper man, unlike the governor of New York right now, who is indeed a creepy groper man.
The creepiest of groper men.
You know, I don't know what to say. They're all saying that he needs to resign right now as governor of New York, and I'm just saying no, absolutely not. I can think of nothing that makes this man more qualified for Washington. Promote him now.
Yes, promote above peers.
Absolutely. I mean, if freaking Andrew Cuomo is a groper, he absolutely belongs in D.C.
Very true.
His talent is wasted in New York. I mean, it's not just being a creepy groper guy that qualifies you for being in Washington, D.C. It's being a creepy groper man and being caught. That's what really qualifies you for DC, because it's not just that you're a creepy guy that touches women inappropriately as a politician in DC. It's that you have the weird sex scandals too, right?
Yeah.
It's that you're caught in the weirdest ways.
Well, he wasn't even really caught in a weird way. He was like in a bar touching on this woman in this picture. And it's like, okay.
Dude literally looked like the devil in his picture.
Yep.
Like literally he looked like Satan incarnate, and he was going to suck the soul out of this poor woman's face. Maybe that was what he was doing. I don't know. I have no evidence to the contrary. Do we know that he's friends with Hillary Clinton?
Maybe. You know, there might be some like adrenochrome thing going on here. I mean, he's got to be friends with Hillary Clinton. They're both New York politicians.
I mean, she's kind of one of those carpetbagger New York politicians.
Yeah, I guess that's
I mean, but let's be completely honest. Hillary Clinton was always more a creature of New York than she was of Arkansas. Is that where Bill came out? It's kind of hard to imagine a Democratic president coming out of Arkansas anymore. But that really did happen.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Well, I got some good news for you, Hobbs. Are you ready for the good news?
I love good news. Please, we need as much good news as we can get.
As you all know, we have been locked inside our homes for the last year. I mean, myself and Hobbs have been studiously adhering to all the guidelines coming out of Washington, D.C., never straying to science and what Dr. Anthony Fauci, blessings be upon him, says.
The number.
We have been studiously following all the guidelines from them, and Joe Biden has given us a gift of gifts this last week.
Praise be.
He came out and he let us all know that if we do everything that he says to do for the next few months, if we're good little boys and girls, he will give us a treat. And that treat is he will allow us to celebrate 4th of July with our families.
Praise be. Our glorious leader has spoken.
Amen. And a woman.
A woman, yes. Yes.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited because, like all responsible adults over the last year, I have not left my home. I have not seen my family all year long. I have not seen my parents or my brothers or sister, my nephews and nieces, my cousins, nobody. I've seen absolutely no one at all. I haven't even seen my wife or children. They all live in a different room in the house than me because we are so studious in avoiding COVID-19. We don't even come into physical contact with other human beings. And if we must come within 6 feet, we always wear a hazmat suit. Always.
Full hazmat. You are
But
the picture of responsibility.
absolutely. This is what responsible human beings do, after all. They listen to science and obey the politicians. And Joe Biden is now our Lord and Savior. And he has told us that by 4th of July, we might be allowed, might. Now, if all these nasty science deniers keep doing their irresponsible thing, then maybe we might not get there. But if we're all little good boys and girls and listen to Joe Biden, he will allow us, in his infinite grace and wisdom, to see our families on the 4th of July. Oh, what a beautiful day that will be.
Yes. Blessings upon him.
So obviously this is all a bunch of bullshit. Here's a funny thing. So yeah, Joe Biden had it wasn't even a press conference. It was just a speech that he gave because Joe Biden still hasn't given a press conference as president of the United States.
And has no intentions to either. And the other thing was that I'm seeing some, like, I don't know, quasi conspiracy theories that this press conference wasn't even live, or nobody can prove that it was live. Might have been pre-recorded.
I mean, would you be surprised at all though if that happened to be the case?
No.
It's because Joe Biden is Joe Biden. There's a reason he's not giving press conferences. And the reason is not because, we're too busy for press conferences. No, the reason is he's Joe Biden. That's why. And it's a funny thing. The press has been covering for him this entire time. Can you imagine if Donald Trump went this long without a press conference? His head would literally explode. I mean, as much as the man hated the media, he didn't actually hate the media. He fucking loved it. Donald Trump was the masochist of masochists. He would walk into the lion's den with the media every day with a smile on his face and walk out happy. We're like,
yep.
Yeah, I just fucking called them fake news to their faces. I did it.
Yep, and we're all better for it.
Yeah. I wish he would continue that. I wish, even as not president of the United States, he would just continue to pretend he was and continue to hold press conferences because CNN would cover it. They would.
They at this point they really have no choice. Their ratings are starting. They need Donald Trump as much as Donald Trump needs attention.
Oh yeah, they absolutely do. Their ratings, CNN's ratings, have gone through the floor since Joe Biden got elected. What's our favorite little piggy? Brian Stelter. Is that his name?
Potato Head.
Mr. Potato Head. His show is non-existent now.
Just Potato Head.
No, you're right. My bad. I forgot. It is now a gender-neutral potato.
Yes.
It is no longer a male potato because male potatoes are offensive, and we don't want anything to do with that. But yeah, Mr. Piggy's show has gone through the floor. Did you see that picture of him doing his show like in his underwear? And the headline was like, "Look how human he is, doing the show in his underwear."
Wow, they're just like us.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I do this show in my underwear, but I'm not going to take a picture of it and show you guys.
Yeah, he's got nothing really to prove.
No, not at all. It's like, oh, look, man of the people in his underwear doing a CNN show. Like, yeah, I guess that's all the dignity CNN deserves.
Yeah,
Right? People.
didn't another journo get in a lot of trouble for doing Zoom calls without pants or something?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Tubin? Was that his name?
Yeah,
Okay,
Jeff Toobin
Jeff Tubin out of New York.
had
Wasn't
his
he like
Toobin out,
wasn't he like jerking off in the Zoom meeting?
something like that. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
didn't know his camera was on, and
It was like,
ugh.
Tube, put your tube away. I can see you. Like, oh shit. Oh god. Oh no.
Oh no, this was totally an accident. I had no idea.
Well, let's get back to Joe Biden though, because Joe Biden, he did this press conference where it's funny because he's talking as though there are actual human beings in this country who have legit been staying inside their homes for an entire year. Like, I don't know a single human being who has been doing this. You know, all this stay in your homes, stay home, stay safe stuff. All that shit stopped last summer. I don't know a single human being who has been doing that since July. Like, not one, not a single human being. Nobody is still in their house. I mean, where are these people? Where are these human beings who are still locking themselves in, scared of a germ, refusing to go outside, getting on Twitter and just chastising everybody else for not being as afraid as they are? Where are these people? Because I don't see them.
Yeah, they're not in Middle America, flyover country. They're out there in the coastal cities and in the other places where they just don't seem to have a countering narrative.
I mean, I guess. I guess. Well, first of all, I guess I wouldn't see them if they're all staying in their houses. I wouldn't. They're far away from me, which is exactly where I want them to be. For one, but I mean, I guess number two, it's kind of hard to do that when nobody else around you is, and when you're not seeing the dire consequences of people not doing what you're doing. Like, if you live here in Nebraska, COVID is not this existential threat. People are going out to eat. I've been going to restaurants all year long, right? I don't stay inside. I go where I want. I do what I want. I get in groups. Baseball season's gonna start up here pretty soon. We're gonna go see baseball games. This is what we're doing. We're living our life. Now, it's kind of annoying that a lot of places are still having capacity restrictions. Like, I think the baseball park over here is going to be at like half capacity, but which is totally fine because that place is never half full anyway. So it's just going to be like a normal game. You're just spreading people out. Anyway, getting off the subject. Point is, people aren't staying in their homes anymore. There's nobody sitting on their couch with shutters over their windows, cuddled up in a corner, watching the TV, waiting for Joe Biden to tell them it's okay to go outside.
Yeah.
Like, those people, they're like few and far between. They practically do not exist. But here Joe Biden comes out going like, if you're good little boys and girls, I'm going to let you go outside. It's like, thanks, Joe. I've already been doing that. But of course, here's the thing. Here's the thing about it. He has no intention of telling people that come 4th of July, they can't go outside. Right?
Yeah.
No matter what happens in July, he's going to be like, we did it, guys. We beat COVID. Go out and celebrate with your families. And he's just going to pretend that we weren't already going to do that anyway. Like, I almost wish come July 4th, Joe Biden would go on national TV and go, you know what, y'all? You didn't do what I told you to do. No 4th of July for you. Because I would love to make my celebration of defiance of tyranny by defying tyranny. That just sounds like it'd be an extra spice to a 4th of July.
Yeah, wasn't it last year's 4th of July where they were like, nobody gather and nobody shoot off fireworks, and it in most major cities it was the biggest fireworks display ever. People were like, no, piss off.
Last year's 4th of July was the greatest 4th of July ever because it was done in defiance of what the government wanted you to do.
Yep.
It's like the government doesn't want you gathering in large groups. The government does not want you seeing your family. The government does not want you leaving your home. Guess what I was doing? I went to my in-laws out and we shot off like $500 worth of fireworks. Had all the friends and family over. Pissed off the neighbors like we do every year. It was fucking glorious, and we did it in defiance of tyranny. I feel like William Wallace over here.
As well you should. Out
Absolutely.
there shooting off fireworks just like George Washington intended.
Yeah, and I'm sure George Washington wouldn't let Joe Biden tell him that he couldn't go out with the boys and shoot off some fireworks.
George Washington probably wouldn't let Joe Biden get within 50 miles of Washington.
I mean, let's be completely honest here. If Joe Biden lived in George Washington's time, he would not still be alive.
Well, yeah, he probably would have died of a disease at the age of 35, like most adults did back in those days.
Joe Biden's continued existence is a testament to the miracle of modern medicine.
True story.
True story. I mean, it is amazing that we have our first mummy president in the White House right now. I mean, everyone was talking about a first woman president, first black president. Soon they'll be talking about the first gay president, blah, blah, blah. Joe Biden is the first motherfucking mummy to be president, and no one's talking about it. It's a fucking shame. It's because there's not enough of a voter base of mummies in this country to make it worthwhile to pander to them. But I think it's a miracle. It's amazing.
It really is.
I mean, we just had our first fruit president. Now we have our first mummy president.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing. So that's exciting, Hobbs, that we are going to have permission to celebrate the 4th of July. Like, congratulations on that. Oh, and I do want to comment on this because he also said that by May every adult in this country is going to be eligible to get a vaccine. Like, it's going to be available to everyone by May, a full 2 months before the 4th of July. So what the fuck is the holdup here? Like, if everybody can get vaccinated in May and that's like the silver bullet that's going to solve COVID, then what the fuck? Why wouldn't you be allowed to go out on the 4th of July?
I don't know. You know, I didn't see a whole lot of his speech, just like bits and pieces of it. But he's out there being like, come on, guys. I need you to do the right thing, you know? And it just kind of came off as that meme of the dude crying where it's like, come on, bro, please just get vaccinated, bro. All you need to do is wear the mask, bro. Just stay 6 feet away from everybody, bro. Come on, bro. Just do the right thing, bro.
I gotta find this video. I got it on our Twitter. Oh, actually, here it is. But it's of this woman trying to this guy's in a store, and I'll just find the video so you guys can watch it because it's pretty funny and it kind of highlights what some of the logical inconsistencies that a lot of these masking types have. Okay, here's the video. Tell me if you can hear it.
I've seen this before. It's pretty. I can't hear it, but I've.
Oh, you can't hear it?
No, but he's got his mask that has a picture of his face with the mask down is his mask, and he's just kind of trolling everybody.
Yeah, he's basically he's got there's a face on his face mask to make it look like he's wearing it under his nose, and this woman is filming him in the store. And she walks up to him. She gets like really close to him and goes, "Hey, it's really rude that you're walking around without a face mask on. This is very rude." And I'm watching this video. I'm like, wait a minute. The whole point of this face mask allegedly is not to protect the wearer. It's to protect everybody else, right?
Allegedly.
So if you see someone without a face mask, that means they're more of a danger to you than you are to them, right? Like the fear here is that they'll infect you with COVID, right? That's what we're wearing the mask for, right? That's the fear. So if you're afraid that this maskless individual is going to give you COVID, why the fuck are you getting so close to him to tell him that he needs to wear his mask properly? See, this is what I'm talking about. It's not actually about fear of getting COVID. She's not actually fearing for her safety. What this is this woman wants to feel better than you. She wants to believe that she is a good, righteous individual who's fighting the good fight and making sacrifices for the greater good. And holy shit, that guy's not wearing a mask. I gotta go up to him and display my righteous indignation and tell him, sir, why aren't you wearing your mask, sir? You need to protect me, sir.
Yep.
And in so doing, she gets right up to this dude, well within 6 feet, in order to tell him that, completely negating any argument she might have that this is actually about safety.
Yep. And I saw a tweet or a meme or something the other day where somebody said something mad that you're not wearing a mask. They're mad that you're being disobedient.
Right.
That you're being a dissenter, that you're not following the herd. And that's that sort of crab in a bucket mentality that just really is spotlit by this whole COVID crap. It's like, if I don't have the personal integrity to think for myself, how dare you just listen to the experts?
Right. That's exactly what it is. Because what does misery love? Right?
Company.
Misery loves company. And if they have to be miserable, then by God, so do you.
Yep.
That's exactly what this is. They're miserable. They're unhappy. They want to, they don't want their lives to be completely ruined, but by God, the politicians told them what to do and they're going to do it, right? Science needs to be listened to. The experts need to be followed. And if they're going to suffer in misery, then they're going to make damn sure that everybody else does too. But guess what? The longer this goes, the less people are going to be willing to listen to that shit. And I'm surprised anybody still is. Like, quite frankly, if you've not seen your family all year because a cranky old politician told you not to, then you're probably a bad person. Sorry, you're probably not the best of person. If you were my family member, I probably wouldn't want to hang out with you after this.
Probably just a miserable shit. What bothers me the most about all of this is that there's an entire large segment of our population that would rather go to war with reality itself than admit that they may have been duped.
Yeah, I just saw an article. It was tweeted out. I can't remember where it was from. It was one like Washington Post or something like that, where they were asking the question, did Florida get this right? And they were talking about how Florida is kind of middle of the pack when it comes to COVID, when it comes to deaths and infections. Like really middle of the pack, like in the 20s, right? Way ahead of places like New York and California, states of similar size. I mean, Florida's not a small state, right? It's not like Wyoming and Nebraska. Oh, look, Nebraska did so well. Yeah, you got like 2 metros in Nebraska, and that's it, right? It's 1 medium-sized city, 1 small city, and corn. That's what you get. That's what you have in Nebraska, right? You have corn. With roads connecting the cornfields.
And there's some cows.
Roads, I may add.
We got some cows, and I don't think that they can get the Rona.
They got cows and soybeans. Lots and lots of soybeans here in Nebraska. So yeah, you say, oh, Nebraska did well. Oh, who cares? There's nobody lives in Nebraska. But Florida did well. Florida is like, what, the 3rd biggest state in the country? And yeah, they did pretty well. They're right in the middle of things, way ahead of New Jersey, way ahead of New York, way ahead of California, and they didn't destroy their economies and got better results than a lot of hard lockdown states. And oh my God, the fucking people in the comment section, like, how dare you say that Florida more people died in Florida than would have died if they had a lockdown? Blah. I'm like, oh yeah, you really want to believe this, don't you? Like, you are so desperate to believe that all your sacrifice was worthwhile. You really want to believe that you saved lives by locking yourself in your home for a year.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but you didn't. You didn't save anybody. You just wasted a year of your life.
Yeah, like I said, man, they would rather go to war with reality itself than admit that they might have been duped. They don't even have to admit that they were duped. They just have to entertain the possibility, and that is too much for them to bear. No, I have to make everybody else as miserable of a piece of shit as I am. Everybody must be miserable because I made myself miserable. And God damn it, I'm not going to let this misery be in vain.
Like, at least acknowledge the legitimacy of the counterfactuals here. At least acknowledge that your mask mandates didn't stop your states from spiking. At least acknowledge that your lockdowns didn't stop COVID from spreading, right? Meanwhile, states that didn't have mandates and didn't have lockdowns did just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about it. That's kind of weird, but it's true. Like, it's counterintuitive, but it's still true. That's what the facts bear out. I mean, it seems to me that there's more to this virus than we presently know, right? Maybe all your heart lockdown policies were actually making things worse. I mean, that seems to be what the evidence points to. That might be exactly what happened here. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see exactly what happened. I'm sure COVID is going to be studied for years to come. But in the here and now, at least acknowledge that, you know what, there's some good evidence that you were wrong this whole time. And there's no reason to continue bashing people for not believing in your stupid lockdown policies.
Yep. Unfortunately, people's egos get in the way of reality. And I saw a meme today, and I don't know if I can find it again because it's kind of way down my line. But it said that in the 1960s, the KGB performed several psychological experiments on the Russian population, and they found that if you just bombard a population with lies, even obvious lies, if you bombard them with lies enough, people will begin to believe it to the point that then introducing the truth, they won't believe the truth. Even if it's an obvious truth. They'll be like, nope, it's not true. Can't be true. I've heard A for months and months and months on the news. A must be true. There's no way that B is true, even if it's obvious. And that's what's going on here.
Yeah, it seems very obvious. And look, I'll readily admit, when this whole thing started off and people were talking about 10% death rates, I'm like, oh shit, maybe we should stay in our house. But here's the difference. Once that turned out to be not true, then I'm like, oh, okay, coast clear. We're good. This isn't actually the Black Death coming, right? Because, I mean, it's not unreasonable. Like, that can happen. It's not like it's impossible for a virus to pop up that does have a 10% or higher death rate. It's not like that's outside the realm of possibility. It's just that COVID wasn't it.
Yep.
COVID was not that. And the sooner you admit that and live your life according to reality, the sooner you're willing to do that, the sooner we can all get it back to our lives. Well, sooner you can get back to your life. Me and Hobbs here, we've been back at our lives for quite a while now and living quite happily, let me tell you.
True story.
You know who's not happy right now? That's the U.S. military. Specifically, pregnant women in the U.S. military. You see this, Hobbs? Tucker Carson is apparently a no good, very bad sexist who hates women, especially pregnant women.
Especially them.
This is, of course, if you listen to the standard leftist narrative. Of course, if you actually if you actually watch Tucker Carson, you realize that the guy is just fucking trolling people. But yeah, what's the context of this? So Joe Biden decided to have a big old press conference where they announced new maternity uniforms.
It's
for the
not
military.
it's not just that. The press conference, he promoted 2 women to the rank of 4-star general, and then he was rolling out all of these new uh, diversity and inclusion and gender parity nonsense. They're
Gender parity.
yeah, a bunch of stuff to get the women in positions of leadership and stuff like that. I like the 2 4-star generals that he just promoted.
Yeah,
But
because the diversity is our strength thing.
right, yes, diversity is apparently our strength.
I don't
So
know why they put so much effort defeating the non-diverse Nazi Germans and Imperial Japanese. They could just beat them with our diversity.
right, well,
It shouldn't have been as hard as it was. Why
right.
build so many carriers and tanks and airplanes when you can just have a diverse military and you can just wipe the floor with the non-diverse enemies that we were fighting?
Right, yeah, just get that diverse force out there and then wait it out.
I mean, and whenever military historians look back at the US military and they analyze why we were so able to dominate the battlefields against the Japanese and the Germans, they're not going to be talking about American industrial might or our huge population or the tenacity of our generals. No. It wasn't the MacArthurs and Pattons of the world that won us World War II. It was the fact that Japan and Germany were not diverse and America was. That obviously is what won us World War II.
Yep. Had nothing to do with the culturally and racially homogenous Russians on the Eastern Front, or the culturally and racially homogenous British holding the line, or any of that. No, diversity is our strength.
Sure was. Well, anyway, what else were they touting out?
But yeah, he went over how they're loosening hair and groom in the military, and how they're developing body armor that fits the female form better, which actually is something that is time coming. They've been needing to do that for like I can't tell you the number of chesty women in my old unit that just wear their body armor just because tits.
You see, here's the funny thing though. Like, do you remember? Like, you watched The Mandalorian, right? Do you remember when Boob Armor Gate came out? And you had those female Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And fucking what's her face? Anita Sarkeesian was screeching about boob armor. Like, how boob armor? Why do they have boob armor? And here we are in real life talking about how women need boob armor.
Yeah, and Katie Sackhoff, the woman in The Mandalorian that was wearing the boob armor, it's like, because I have boobs.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but there's reasons for this. Like, why do men wear boxers and women wear panties? It's because men need extra room.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I mean that's the reason for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is there boob armor? Well, because women have breasts. And when you have armor, which is this hard object, like a ceramic plate is hard, it's unbending, right? You can't shape it into place. You're literally going to need, special armor to fit properly.
Yep. And and the women's form just isn't the same as a man's, which was something that men and women being different is something that we'll get to here in a second. But yeah, so Tucker got on there, and he was the people that were criticizing Tucker were completely missing his point. His point wasn't that this isn't this man's army anymore, or women don't belong in the military. Like that. His whole point was our military's priorities are completely screwed up. Like, we're working on grooming standards and maternity flight suits and all of this diversity and inclusion crap would be a little bit bonkers in peacetime. But we're 20 years into the global war on terror, and they're talking about making accommodations for pregnant women to be in fighter jets and shit. And
Wait,
that
they would well, that's probably the flight suit thing.
yeah, exactly. The flight suit, and I don't know if that's just like, women on the flight line. I mean, my first and second deployment, I wore exclusively flight suits because they're goddamn comfortable. But
They're onesies for adults.
exactly, they're fantastic. And to be honest, I think that maybe the military should just go whole hog in on the flight suits, because they're great.
Suits.
Yeah, they're great. But anyways, yeah, his whole point was that the military's priorities are messed up. But what these weirdos in the other media channels heard was, oh my God, he's criticizing accommodations for women. He thinks women don't belong in the military. And they started screeching about that. And of course, the echo chamber get the people in the higher brass in the Pentagon, they didn't actually watch the Tucker segment. They heard what the other media channels were saying about the Tucker segment, and so they decided that embarrassingly they were going to get in on it too. You have high-ranking Pentagon stationed Marines and soldiers and airmen. These are generals and command getting on their official DoD Twitter accounts in uniform and be television host. And somebody made the excellent point that imagine 4 years ago if a Pentagon level general or command sergeant major got on social media on their official DoD accounts and started bitching out Anderson Cooper for one of the many dumb shit things that idiot says. The media would have a fucking meltdown. But because,
it'd be Pentagon attacks the media.
Yep. Donald, this toxic environment of the media is the enemy of the people, has emboldened leaders at the Pentagon to strike at the media. This is a fascist state. It's but because old Beijing Biden's in office and they're attacking can't cuck the tuck, they everything's okay, I guess.
I mean, that's the thing about it. They really hate Tucker Carson. Like, they really fucking hate that guy. And I mean, like, he's not perfect by any means. I mean, he's not a libertarian. But as far as cable news hosts go, I mean, who's better? Exactly. Like, what cable news host can you think of besides maybe Kennedy? Like, Kennedy's on the libertarian side, but that's like it. Yeah. When it comes to cable news hosts who are at least sympathetic in some way, shape, or form to libertarianism. And then I was listening to Dave Smith's podcast today, and he made an excellent point. Like, Tucker Carson is like the anti-war guy in the mainstream cable news. Like, the anti-war guy. The guy with the biggest show, the biggest audience, speaking directly to the sort of people who would be sympathetic to the military. Right? Who's watching Tucker Carlson? It's not these fucking leftoids in LA and New York City. No, it's fucking conservatives watching him. The very sort of people who might sign up for the Marine Corps. And here comes the Marine Corps starting a pissing match with the biggest conservative news host in the country. And then once they realize what they had done, they're all tripping over themselves to take it back and apologize for doing it. Like, oh shit, what did we just do? Why did we do that? Why are we appealing to people that would never join the Marines in the first place? Like, this is not our target audience. Going for woke people don't join the military. Hobbs, when you were in, did you know anybody, a single person who believed any of this woke shit?
You know what? When I was in, I might have known one or two that were on the cusp. Now that I'm out and I got social media and I'm seeing a lot of the shit that my old military friends were posting, there's a few out.
Like I don't remember a single one. Like I knew progressives and liberals when I was in the military. I would not call a single one of them woke though. This is not to say that none of them were. It's just if they were, they weren't very vocal about it. Like this is not a demographic that the military that is prime recruiting grounds for the military.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know what prime recruiting grounds for the military is? Probably people who listen to Tucker Carson. Right?
Yeah.
Not people that listen to Rachel Maddow.
Right. Yeah. That was we had AFN on.
Oh God.
Yeah, on our chow halls. Yeah, overseas we had AFN on the chow halls, and they did a pretty good job of rotating. But it was like CNN, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, MSNBC. They just rotate the shows through. I don't remember anybody really paying much attention to CNN, and definitely not MSNBC when I was overseas. But yeah, going back to the wokeists when I was in, they may not have been wokeists when we were in, but now that they're out and they're in the civilian life, they've bought into the Black Lives Matter, the social justice, all of this other crazy bullshit, and I'm kind of embarrassed to know them because it's so obviously crap that
you should send them links to the show.
Yeah,
Do it.
Yeah. But yeah, so what a lot of people don't seem to understand about the military is it has a generational cycle, and what I mean by a generational cycle is that because of the promotions and the fact that most people are that are career people are have a 20-year career, you're in these positions for more or less a presidential cycle, 4 to 8 years, from being like a higher up colonel on up through the generals to places that are like post commands or stationed at the Pentagon or whatever, of generals, colonels, and command sergeants majors that are stationed at the Pentagon are also the people that were put into that position, or at least got on the track to be in those positions during the Obama administration. So it's really not a surprise that the generals that are coming out with the full force social justice agenda are doing this right now because of who appointed them to the positions, or at least got them started on the track. In 4 to 8 years, you're going to start seeing Trump generals, more or less, maybe. And those are probably going to be the guys that a lot of troops thought General Mattis was. They'll be the rah 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 America first type of people. And
that is even assuming that, I mean, because we're talking about Donald Trump here. I mean, this is the guy that made the absolute worst appointment positions of any president ever. I mean, this guy did not have control of his administration. So who knows? Maybe that's not even true.
Yeah, it is a possibility. It's not, because with the priorities that our military has right now, our near peer adversaries are the right things. Not only are they getting their militaries in shape, they're working on broad modernization in their weapons and equipment. They're going to fitness regimens, and China is even going so far as to overtly say that they are in the effort of remasculinizing their military and their culture at large. And we're worried about maternity flight suits and boob armor.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not like the boob armor is not necessary,
No.
but the
It's just funny to say boob armor.
The maternity flight suit thing. I mean, if a pregnant woman is pregnant enough to need a maternity flight suit, is she even going to be working anymore? Is she even going to be going up in planes anymore at that point.
Yeah. I would assume that a high G maneuver, even in like a large cargo plane, because I've flown in some cargo planes that have done like a damn near vertical takeoff, and you feel like you're taking off in the fucking space shuttle or something. I imagine that a high G maneuver like
Sounds
that's pretty
awful.
risky. I imagine that's pretty risky for a pregnancy. So
Yeah, and that's probably the point. Because, like, yeah, if you're pregnant enough to need a maternity flight suit, you probably don't need a flight suit at all.
Yep.
So why are we making this big deal out of this stupid, symbolic, worthless thing? Right? That's kind of the point. But no, all anybody hears is Tucker Carson hates women. Tucker Carson hates pregnancies. Tucker Carson wants women barefoot and pregnant, not in the military, in the kitchen. How dare he?
And definitely not in a flight suit. Yeah. So yeah, since we're on the topic of females and the military, the last thing that I wanted to bring, was experimenting with a new physical fitness test.
Oh yes, this is from my new favorite website, notthebee.com.
Yes, because world is so indistinguishable from satire right now that satire site Babylon Bee had to make a spin-off website specifically titled Not the Bee, so that you could know that this is indeed real life. This is not humorous satire.
Is this website by the same people who run the Bee?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That just made this whole thing even better.
Yes.
So, okay, the title of this article is U.S. Army might nix its gender-neutral combat fitness test because women are failing it and failing it big time.
Yes. So the Army's been experimenting with a new, they call it the Army Combat Physical Test, I think, or something like that. And so the original PT test that I took the entire time I was in the Army was retarded. It was push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2-mile run.
See, we only had to run 1.5 miles in the Air Force.
Yeah, I would say that a series of 100-yard sprints would probably be a better yardstick for measuring one's physical fitness. 2 miles is retarded. The Marine Corps has 3.
It doesn't even make sense considering that. I mean, you should probably just put on your body armor, your uniform, and a pair of boots, and do a series of sprints in that.
Yes, which is
that's what you'd actually do.
Yes, which is where this new Army combat fitness test was coming from, because so many people were complaining that the APFT, the old one that's been around since like the 80s, was not a measure of physical fitness conducive to a combat role. So they came up with this combat physical fitness test, which had something like 6 different events that were done. They're done in uniform with tennis shoes on, so because boots are bad for this sort of thing. And you do things like a deadlift and pull-ups and like throwing a medicine ball over your head. It like test your core strength, your legs, your hand-eye coordination, a whole bunch of stuff. And I did a trial test. Like the last 2 months that I was in, we did a series of trial tests to kind of tweak it and figure out where it was going to be. And it's kind of a burner, man. It was a good workout. And the experiment was that they were going to go to a gender neutral test. And as it stands right now, 65% of women were failing, whereas 10% of men were not. And as it stands right now, I think 18.5% of the U.S. Army is female. So imagine 65% of that 18.5% going away because they can't hack this test.
Well, see, here's the thing about it. I always thought that gender-specific standards was fucking stupid to begin with. Like, if you're expected to do the same job, you should be held to the same standard.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when I was in the Air Force, men and women in security forces were expected to do the same exact thing, right? And it was a physical job. You had to be physical, right? Yep. It's not like, working at the chow hall where you can be a big fat piece of shit and nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares because you're working at the chow hall. It doesn't matter. Security forces, you actually have to be physically fit to do it. But they hold different people to different physical standards. Now, when it comes to age, that makes sense to me. But because when you get up to like 40 years old, you're not, the boots on the ground guy anymore. Right? You shouldn't be expected to perform at the same physical standard as an 18-year-old. Right. But when you're an 18-year-old man and an 18-year-old woman doing the same exact job, you should be held to the same exact standard. And the fact that they had different standards always irked me a bit, right? It's not because I don't want women in the military. It's because why is this freaking 100-pound, 4-foot woman? Was she going to carry me out of a war zone? I don't think so. And what about these giant dudes that I'm working with? They're actually not going to carry them out either if she needs to.
Right.
It's like there needs to be a consistent standard for everybody. And the fact that they had different standards for different people never made any sense to me.
Right. And ironically enough, the Army's first female infantry officer agrees. Her name's like Lieutenant Grice or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she's saying that that women, if you're going to be putting women in frontline combat roles like tankers and infantry and artillery, that they need to meet the same standards as men because a combat zone is not going to discriminate. And she says that in the end, you are going to have far, far, far fewer women than you may want in these roles. But the women that do make it are going to be of top shelf quality. And that is what you want in a fighting force. You don't want to worry about how diverse and inclusive and gender parity and all of this other crap, because the military's job is not a social experiment. The military's job is to kill people and break their things.
Yeah, and I... For so long, since the end of World War II, the United States has never actually faced any danger to itself.
No.
Right? In World War II, they had a legit fear of Japanese invasions of American territory. Hell, we had invasions of American territory. Let's not forget, the Philippines belonged to the United States. Guam was a U.S. territory at the time, got invaded and occupied by the Japanese. People were afraid that Hawaii would be attacked, that California would be attacked. But since World War II, we've forgotten what the purpose of a military actually is, right? Countries have militaries in order to fend off invasions. That's what militaries exist to do, right? That's what our military should exist to do. But we've gotten so used to our military existing to just occupy Middle Eastern countries for so long that we've kind of lost track of what they actually exist for. Mm-hmm. Right? Every war we fought since World War, like since Korea. Korea was like the last big army on army war that the United States has been involved in. Right? Even in the first Iraq war, it wasn't a big army on army conflict. We blew up Iraq's army from the air and then marched over their corpses. That's how that war worked out. Yep. Right? But so now, since we've gotten into the habit of thinking of the military as just this thing that goes and occupies foreign countries and we don't really worry about it, it's like, oh yeah, we can just do whatever the fuck we want with it. Yeah, we can fuck around with the physical standards to make sure that we have more women in combat roles, because that's what's important here. We got to make sure that we have the proper percentage of females in combat roles or in the military in general. And here's the thing, they're thinking about nixing these physical standards because not enough women are passing them. I'm like, why? Is the standard good? Like, is the standard proper? Do you want soldiers to be able to meet this standard? If yes, keep it. If no, nix it. But don't fucking tell me that, oh, not enough women are passing, so we gotta nix the standard. Well, there's probably not enough disabled people passing that test either. You're gonna nix it for them too? Oh, we don't have enough armless soldiers. Let's make sure that we don't have any tests that require arms.
Yep. And that's one of the things that Tucker said. He's like, when somebody brings up the point that Delta Force is discriminating against paunchy 51-year-old TV news hosts, give me a ring. But until then, focus on things that actually matter.
I mean, it would make sense to have job specific training tests. Like, there's no reason why, if you're in personnel in the Air Force, that you should have to meet the same physical standards as security forces. Like, not everyone is going to be a frontline soldier.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I know the idea is everybody is an infantryman. We got to be able to throw everybody into the fight. But let's be realistic. You're not really going to be doing that. If you're throwing the chow hall guys into frontline combat, you've already lost the war, right? It's already done. You should just surrender at that point, right? So, like, having career specific physical standards makes sense to me. And if you do that, you could probably have all the women in the military you want. Just don't expect them to all be frontline infantry.
Right. Yeah, it's something that I said is that these people seem to think that everybody has a right to serve their country, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, you don't. You have a right to try, and if you come up lacking, then them's the breaks. Sorry.
Yeah, that sucks for you, but oh well.
Dudes in wheelchairs are not going to be infantrymen, and people who are 500 pounds overweight are not going to be fitting into the hull of an Abrams tank. There are certain standards that are there for ostensibly good reasons. Some of them are kind of stupid, but a lot of them are there for a reason. It's to keep people alive, not to help somebody's self-esteem.
Exactly. All right, we're going to end it with that. I do want to point out that the Grammys had their worst ratings, I think, ever last night. Did you know the Grammys were last night? I didn't even know they happened last night.
No.
No, they're apparently people were telling offensive jokes and, simulating unspeakable sex acts on stage. I don't know what happened. We should probably look into that, or not. I mean,
choose not.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. I mean, if I want to see unspeakable sex acts, there's a million better places to go than the Grammys, and they won't lecture me there.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so that's going to be it for us. You got anything else to say before we leave, Mr. Congressman?
No. Vote for Hobbs in 2022, and we'll make sure that the military gets back on the right track. And by the right track, I'm going to talk about like bull up.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to tonight's Token and Hobbs show. Have a good night, everybody. That was the wrong video. Sorry, everybody.